here's the big news is obviously Schottenheimer was hired. And then on top of that, there were a couple of other major hires, which is nice to see just to check them off. The special teams coordinator, the hell was his name? He came Nick Sorensen, which when I saw that, I thought it was a joke because of the comedian Nick Sorensen. I was like, okay, what is this? Some AI or meme or something like this?
Yeah, you thought you were on a meme page?
Yeah, I was like, what the hell am I? Well, it was just the name, and I was like, huh, this has got to be fake. But apparently, so he was the defensive coordinator for San Francisco last year, and he is now the special teams coordinator for Dallas. I guess it's looked at as a sideways step.
Do you think he's Is he going down to go back up? Is that the move there?
Well, we got a couple guys that are doing that. We are DCs, and I know you're going to jump into more names, but
yeah,
unfortunately,
if you know him, spit him off. Matt
Eberflus or whatever, however the fuck you say
Eberflus.
Eberflus. He's going from a head coach to a defensive coordinator, right? And then we got a guy going from defensive coordinator to special teams. And the fact is, the San Francisco 49ers defense wasn't that great last year. So hopefully this guy is decent at special teams, because I like John Fossil, who the Cowboys lost to the Titans.
Yeah, Bones is gone, man. That hurts.
Bones is gone. And there was an article coming out saying that Bones was telling everybody, or he was reportedly saying he was going to trade for Brandon Aubrey and try to do whatever he could to get Brandon Aubrey to the Titans. So that kind of hit the news cycle a bit. But I mean, a special teams coordinator, the Cowboys, I think that was the only good thing about the Cowboys team this year. Like between the offense, defense, and special teams, the special teams was always ranked top 10, if not top 5, a lot of the weeks. So that's got to be a loss, losing John Fossil.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and there was also, I believe it was maybe just in the last 3 hours, or at least this is when the post was from Dallas Cowboys. They hired linebackers coach Dave Borgonzi, defensive line coach Aaron Whitecotton, and defensive passing game coordinator Andre Curtis. And I believe, Curtis and another of these guys came from the Bears as well. So they have that connection with Eberflus. So those are the hires.
Eberflus was a shitty head coach. So, most guys that were coordinators that turned into shitty head coaches tend to be pretty decent coordinators when they go back to just being one side of the ball or whatever it is, just kind of being in their little cubicle. So hopefully he can be able to be effective in that role. But this is literally like it's the opposite of a who's who staff. It's like, what the fuck, right? But it's one of those wait and see type of things, right? Like you can't really criticize it because you just need to see how it materializes. So it's just one of those things where Cowboys fans just need to be like, okay, well, let's see what happens, rather than say, oh, this is a shitty hire, because we really don't know.
And
totally.
I like the head coach aspect of it, whether he was good or bad at being a head coach. I don't think that means that he'll be a good or bad coordinator, but I like that they have had that experience, at least two of the guys who are running the special teams and defense. But yeah, like you said, it could be a bad thing, and we just have to wait and see. Schottenheimer, though, he's the culture guy. Whether you like the culture that he'll bring to the Cowboys or not, that's from what the press conference and kind of the things that I've seen, that's what he brings. And so we do need some guys in there who really know football. And I'm not saying that he doesn't know football, but the more minds, as long as everyone's on the same page, the merrier. This is the chance, though. We wanted the refresh. You wanted the culture guy. Not like I'm saying that was a large voice online, right?
Yeah.
Well, this is Jerry Jones's answer to that. And I think, in fairness, whether we like it or not, I want to give these guys the best shot and make them feel loved in Dallas so that they put their best, foot forward. But the rope has got to be short. You gotta think.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's the problem when you kind of like. I mean, I think if you look at under Mike McCarthy, the one thing about Schottenheimer, outside of him never being a head coach, which again, I'm not. You haven't been a head coach. You at one point someone has to give you the opportunity. He's getting the opportunity, but the one thing where you're looking at it under the Mike McCarthy, he wasn't really the offensive play caller, so he was the buddy guy. He was the culture guy. The challenge is, what's the transition now going to look like when he gets to a head coach? Can he still be a guy to a degree, but also start to get his team to be a bit more disciplined? Can we have the Cowboys looking up and respecting him, or are they is he gonna be like that substitute teacher who's now the interim head coach, and players might possibly take advantage of him? I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen, but there is that sense that if you are a little too buddy with these guys, it's, hey, why are you getting down on me? Like, I'm not going to listen to you. You're supposed to be my pal, not my HC.
Fire someone. Fire someone.
I think my opinion with Shotty is that, like I said, I'm coming from experience, right? So I've seen this guy in the highest of highs with the Jets, and from like 2008 to 2010-ish, where he was supposed to be the guy. They actually had him pegged as being the front runner for the job, and then Rex came out of nowhere and took the job from him, right? And then he stayed around, was the OC, was like the assistant head coach, and he has some qualities that people like. And I think, we heard that him and Dak are very, very close, and Dak supports him fully. So that can be something good, but it also can be what you were saying, Ad, right? Where it's a little too friendly, too buddy, where maybe this guy is not the disciplinarian that you need him to be. Whether it's like, his first job, he's buddy with the quarterback, he's going to kind of kowtow and maybe try to appease everybody instead of really laying down the law like he's the head coach. So we got to see what he actually does and how they perform. And the best way to see that is how they are prepared to play week in and week out. Are they starting sluggish like we always see with different coaching regimes? Are they paying attention to detail? Are we still having delayed games where guys, if we're starting to see those things, if those things can be able to get cleaned up, then maybe he does have a shot to be a good coach going forward.
I couldn't agree more with you. Everything you said, you nailed it out of the park. The one crazy thing about him becoming the head coach, like Barry said, and Ad also touched on it, is he doesn't have the experience that you would like as some of the other candidates had going into the head coaching position. And I was pissed when I heard last Friday night that he was hired. I was pretty pissed off about it. I made a video basically saying next year was a wash. But after kind of watching some of his press conferences and stuff, I have to admit he's won me over a tiny little bit, right? And what's really going to make me cement my opinion on his hiring is who they take in the first round this year. That's going to really, really make me decide if I like him or not. If they don't go for the best person that's available at the time, and they do something crazy, I'm just going to think he's another Jerry's puppet. But if they go out and get a really solid piece, then I'm going to think maybe he has some sway. That's the main thing I'm worried about the hiring, is he's just going to be another. He got hired because he's willing to put up with Jerry's shit.
That's how I felt as well too. Yeah.
Ultra Cowboy makes a good point. He does have more experience than Ben Johnson and Captain Dork from the Jacksonville Jaguars.
It does feel nice.
Can we please get that Liam Cohen clip up at some point? It doesn't have to be right now. But that is one of the most.
Which one? The Duval?
That is one of the cringiest things I've ever. Dude, I put it on and I thought it was like AI.
Yeah.
Like AJ said earlier, he thought AI about something. I thought it was someone making an AI video. He looks like a creepy AI character. And then Duval. I'm like, oh,
Duval. It's
he looks like a contestant off of America's Got Talent.
But I mean, so you bring up a good point. Sorry, AJ. AJ just
Get him on the screen.
Okay,
Get
put
him on the screen. Let's get him on the screen here.
Is this it? What is Duval? Is this?
That's the place where
Duval's
Jacksonville.
the county.
Duval
It's the
County. Yeah.
There he is. Zoom can blow this guy up.
Duval.
Oh no!
Duval.
Oh no!
Because that's what all the Jags fans and stuff cheer Duval, and it's like Ad had mentioned a dorky teacher coming in or something. He's like that dorky teacher trying to win over the classroom by being cool,
100%.
and it missed. It completely
100%.
missed.
You know, I have just I don't know, a little what you'd call it, sympathy or empathy when I see that, because I'm like, it's like his biggest day in his life.
I know.
And he's even walking into the building.
Yeah, that was a funny
And
one.
he was
too.
like, oh, hey, hi. Just, how? Like, you could tell he was, like, extremely nervous, excited, whatever. And so, like, I'm like, I can relate to that. Be like, yeah, man, I would be too. But it's a bad look, just in general.
well,
Right?
that one
It doesn't show the composure,
Well,
maybe.
and
Or if you see cracks, it's kind of a little scary.
He can only go up from here because
Yes.
it literally is everywhere about how much of a dork this guy can be. And it's like, whatever. It's going to show whether or not, like, it's going to be, it's good.
The comment was 0-17, by the way, for that.
Oh, man. But, like,
I mean, look, Nick Sirianni had a very cringe press conference too, and he's doing all right for himself.
Yeah, he
Yep.
did. He had one of the worst opening press conferences as a head coach, and I was like, oh, I was cheering. I was stoked. I was like, oh, this fucking knob is the Eagles' next head coach, and yeah, they're going to their second Super Bowl. So
And think of if the Lions didn't have success or weren't as successful as they were, some of Dan Campbell's.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Not his.
Oh, yeah.
He was very cringy too. Yep.
But it worked out for him, and now you can make these super cuts where he looks really cool.
I just want to.
the only difference is I don't think I could beat up Dan Campbell.
No,
I think I could take Liam Cohen.
Okay, I wanted to say, because Ants was talking about you'll take shoddy serious depending on what they do on draft day. Ultra's putting a name out there that I like, that it sounds like it's circulating on who's going to be the next OC, looking to hire the offensive line coach from Arizona, Clayton Adams. So when you talk about, like, what are they gearing up for, and we're hearing like, oh, Shoddy wants to have a really strong run game, they bring on this guy from Arizona who had some very solid run production out of Arizona for the team, and then they draft a running back in like one of the top 2 or 3 rounds. Like, then that's probably one of those reassurance saying, okay, maybe they are shifting to have a really dominant run game. They are putting the right offensive weapons in place. You get a running back and a wide receiver in the top rounds. I mean, all signs are pointing to what they're going to be going to try and do this year. They're going to try to make a big run at it, right?
Totally. And one of our biggest issues last year was it seemed like they just weren't trying to run enough. Granted, a lot of games they were being blown out, so they had to get rid of the running game. But on this last Sunday, we watched the Eagles rush for 7 touchdowns in a game. The Cowboys had 6 all season. So to kind of get someone that's going to focus on the running game and then draft a running back, because this draft is heavily favored in some very decent college stud running backs, that would make me extremely happy. I would love to see a more balanced offense and take some of the pressure off Dak Prescott. Don't have him going out to throw 40 times a game. Try to get him back down to where he's good, where he's throwing 20 to 30 times a game. And I know people are going to say, well, you're paying him this much money to throw the ball. It's like, well, no, I want to see him win football games.
Yep.
Yeah, I second that. I think, Shoddy definitely does have an understanding of balance in regards to being able to run the football, and his schemes have been very, very effective over the years with other teams, the Jets, other teams that he's been on. So this is something that he can definitely instill with the Cowboys. And look, the formula for throwing the ball less and running the ball more has worked for Buffalo this year. Yeah, they came up short against the Chiefs, but they kind of took the reins away from Josh Allen this year a lot and allowed them to run the football a lot more, right? So when you keep his attempts down, you kind of keep the mistakes at a minimum, right? So, I think that's Dak's formula. Don't let them throw the ball too much, and then you can be able to limit those mistakes. So if they can be able to have a strong running game, I think the Cowboys would be better suited that way.
I have to sometimes pause to see if Ant's going to say anything because it's a frozen face Ant up there. So I don't know if I don't know. And he looks like someone's like, just stand there, make sure you're showing a quality of life picture here.
It looks like a cop in that picture.
Yeah. Ant's on another
license
stakeout.
and registration, chicken fucker.
Yeah, Ant's on another stake. But yeah, like, I mean, if we look at the teams that had decent quarterbacks and you look at their run game, like, that was one thing that we screamed about all last season is like, why are we not like, or even this season, like give like underproduction from our run game. No one seemed to have an idea of like what to do with Rico Dowdle until, you know, until we were out of the playoffs. And then all of a sudden Rico comes out and he becomes this,
crazy.
Yeah, he becomes this massive person. So yeah, I think getting a solid offensive coordinator or somebody to be on that side of the ball with Schotty, and then pulling up some of these solid offensive weapons in the draft will be something where I'll feel a bit better about this.